I'm Deborah Johnson with Art Connections Gallery. We're coming to you with an interview with our July featured artist, Jill Robinson, who is from Austin, and she does gourds and alcohol ink paint. You to tell us a bit about yourself, your history, and how you came to be the professional artist that you are today.
I actually started in loom weaving like 40 years ago, and then went into basket weaving. I wove baskets for 30 years and taught basket weaving. And then about 15 years ago, I was exposed to gourds and began to slowly incorporate a lot of the textural effects into gourds. I took a lot of classes. I continue to take classes because I think there's always a benefit. You can always learn from everything and everyone. So I now solely do gourds. I'm all about texture. So you can see from fabric to baskets to gourds, it's all about texture and nature for me. So there you go.
Great. And I also know that you are a large proponent of small businesses, having led the Texas Downtown or the Texas Main Street. I always get mixed up. One of those.
Right. I was assistant director for the Texas Main Street program for 12 years.
So she is a big supporter of small business. You guys to tell us a little bit about the accolades that you've gotten for your art, some of those winnings. Jill,
I have won first place. I don't do this well talking about awards, but I've won lots of first place ribbons in basketry and in gourd art. Lots of firsts and some seconds usually. I have won this gourd, and I'll probably talk about this in a little while, has won lots and lots of awards. So I'm always very humbled because there is always such a great amount of talent at these competitions. So yeah, I've been winning awards in the gourd field for probably the last 7 years. I've won numerous first place. So I'm really privileged.
And where do you show with the gourds? Where are these shows?
There's a Southwest Gourd Art Festival, and that encompasses kind of the Southwest United States. The actual location is the Kerrville Arts and Cultural Center, because one of the best gourd artists in the nation is actually in Kerrville. And so she kind of got that started there, but it encompasses gourd artists from most of the Southwest United States. And so I've won many awards there. Also the Texas Gourd Festival, where there's a huge amount of talent. And then also the Arizona Gourd Festival, which is the biggest in the nation. And they have 10,000 plus people attend this. It's pretty amazing. So I feel really privileged. I won 2 first place there this year in the masters category. So I was really privileged.
Of your accomplishments, what is the most meaningful for you?
Well, I would truly have to say that going from 8 to 5 state job to becoming a full-time artist is my biggest accomplishment, because that was really my goal when I retired.
We'll go with Jill on this one. What is your primary medium or mediums, and what drew you to that medium to start with?
Right. As Deborah said in the beginning, my 2 mediums are gourd art and alcohol ink paintings. My primary medium is gourds. And if you're not familiar with gourds, they come in lots of different shapes and sizes. From this kind of shape to this huge shape, and like small, large, everything in between. And my goal with the gourds is to enhance the natural shape of the gourd. And so as best I can, I try not to cut them all off and make them into bolts unless they are already bowl shaped. But I actually try to work with the shape that's there, and you can really see it in this one. This was a bottle gourd that has bulbous in the bottom and bulbous in the top. and try to enhance that shape and make that beautiful in and of itself.
Wonderful. And then the alcohol inks came from?
Actually, I was painting on the gourds. A lot of the painting on the gourds is also alcohol inks. And so I started doing that originally, which is very backwards from anything anybody else does. They always start on paper, and then we'll begin doing it on gourds if they do that. But I started on gourds, and I did that for years. And so I transitioned to paper somewhere along the way, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and began thinking, wow, I should also do this because I just love the whole medium of alcohol ink.
Wonderful. So Jill, why don't you show us one of your pieces, and if you tell me the name and a little bit about that piece.
Okay. Are you wanting me to talk about processes at this point?
If you can, because that's really kind of the next direction we were going, was to talk about materials and your process.
Okay.
Okay.
I do use lots of processes. That's texture is one of my favorite things, as I mentioned. And so different textures require different processes. So, for instance, this gourd here is called Durango. It's got lots of different, it's almost a sampler of different techniques. And so this technique right here, I'll hold it up here close. You can see all that nice fibrous texture there. That's actually the inner fiber of prickly pear cactus. And so I process that. I go out and gather dead prickly pear and with gloves and tongs and a prayer, and I cut it with a long knife and bring the dead pieces home and soak them and peel them. There's lots of layers in one pad of prickly pear. So I peel them apart in layers and hopefully don't get stuck too many times, but you will get stuck. Anyway, it's a long process to get to that point, and then another process to carve an inset into the wall of the gourd, whether it's this way or in other gourds I'll do a more circular angle like this, and this is also, can you see that there, the cactus fiber there. So that's one of the textures I use. I also love using natural stones, and so I keep lots of natural stones. You can see this a little bit, but I keep them on white trays in my studio so that I can refer to them often, because I often start with the board and the stone and work from that to create a whole piece. I also like to focus on highlighting textures from nature. And so this again is highlighting cholla cactus. I carved this in the wall of the gourd though, but this is dried cholla cactus. And so this is the inspiration for the carving that I do here. And I call that cholla treasure because it's got a little treasure here of red jasper. So anyway, I use pine needles at the top of a lot of my gourds. They're really long pine needles from the eastern United States. These are a lot longer than our Texas pine needles. This is a gourd in progress, so that this is where I feed in the pine needles, because you can see the coil will run out, so I keep feeding the pine needles in. These are carved bone beads. This is an electrical process I do on the gourds. I burn these little fractal tendrils into the gourd with this machine I have here. I call it my laboratory because it's quite dangerous, and these are electrical probes here. I plug it in. I use an baking soda to conduct the electricity on the gourds, and then I put these 2 electrical probes on the gourd and burn those electrical pathways to look really cool, and then you end up with all those electrical tendrils. So those are some of the processes right off the bat here that I've got. So I do a lot of wood burning in the gourds as well. Painting.
You also carve with your Dremel tool, and as I recall, you have to wear a respirator when you're working with all of this.
I wear a mask with everything. I do lots of carving. I do have a kind of a professional version of a Dremel tool that I carve with, and I do that all the time. I do this kind of coral carving here. That's what I call it because it looks like coral when I get through with it. But again, that's in the wall of the gourd. I do this. This is a wave I carve into the wall of the gourd, and then I paint it with a metal patina, metal reactive patina. It's a two-coat process with metal and then a patina on top to react with the metal in the paint. So carving and again painting.
Great. Do you have a gourd that has not been touched yet that you can grab that's close by so people can see what the raw material is that you're starting with?
I do. I actually should have had this out. This is what a gourd looks like when you start, or what, I mean, there are lots of different shapes. This is just one, but I actually have this one. I'll show you because I had already cut it open, and then this is what's inside. So this is what I have to work with. I don't cut it open and it's all pretty inside. So I have to work with, I have these hand tools here that are sharp. I scrub them like that, and I also have these tools that I chuck into my drill and I carve out as well. So it's a process in and of itself, even to get a smooth inside. Once I finally get it to this point, a smooth inside to the wall of the gourd, and then I paint it like 3 or 4 times on the inside of the gourd, because if you stir up the dust on the inside of the gourd, it can be toxic. So you have to coat the inside well before you ever start to have fun. But that's kind of the process. But yeah, this is what it starts out originally, and actually it even starts out with a fungus on the outside of it from sitting out in the field so long, because they have to sit out there to dry. So I have to soak the gourd in wet potting soil for 2 days to loosen that and scrub that before I even get to this point. So it's definitely a process.
A lot of hard work to get to those beautiful gourds. So you told us about how you start with sometimes a stone in the gourd and get your inspiration from there. What other things give you inspiration for your work?
You know, I'm looking for pattern all the time when I'm out in the world, whether it's on metal or on a building, wherever. I'm always noticing a pattern, and I can take it home and either carve it, wood burn it. So I'm always taking pictures of different patterns, or maybe in patterns in nature, as well as texture, whether it's texture in leaves, or like you saw, the texture in cactus. So those are kind of my main inspirations, as well as.
Do you have a theme with this particular group that you're bringing into the gallery?
The gourds, well, the alcohol inks in general are inspired by nature for me, most always. You can see trees, birch trees. I've got other trees, I've got other flowers, so it's most always nature. It's not a specific theme. Mm-hmm. And with the gourds, again, it's not the kind of theme that you're going for. It's more textural, always enhancing the textures.
Beautiful.
And colors.
And they're done beautifully. They're always exciting to see. I can't wait to have them delivered to the gallery this week. So for our final question, and how has living these last few months in a really different world affected your artistic endeavor?
I've been in a couple of different Zoom interaction meetings, or I've just read people's comments about that same question, and it's all over the map. And for me, it's been so inspiring, and it's almost embarrassing to say that, but I think just the freedom of time lends itself to creativity for me, and I would imagine for any artist. But just having the time and some lessened commitments in the general world gives your whole mind and body space to work and create, and so that's how it's been for me. I've just been a machine. I just yeah, it's a roller coaster for me. I just can't stop right now, so it's good.
Well, that's a positive, because you may not be able to stop to do anything else for a while. So,
Right.
well, since you're in Austin, it's good to see positive things coming out of our world right now. And I think a lot of us have had time to do some of those things that we wanted to do. Unfortunately, mine wasn't making art. Mine's learning how to do stuff online in order to promote all this wonderful art, because I want as many people as possible to see your pieces. So for any of you who are watching this video, I do want to remind you that starting July 3rd, you will be able to see the new body of work both on our online store at shop.artconnectionsgallery.com, as well as at the gallery, which is located at 123 North Main Street on the Square in LaGrange, Texas. And if you're in Texas and you're looking for a little day trip, LaGrange is within a few hours of Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. So you can pop down and see us. We sanitize multiple times during the day. You'll wear your mask, we'll wear our mask. We social distance, so it's a safe little outing to come and do. So we hope to be seeing you all again at the gallery or on the store or on Facebook Live. Thanks, and have a very safe and blessed day.